Well, hello and welcome, fellow shapers, friends, curious people. Today we are going to complete this stove. I shall try to make it as short as possible, but first I must give you a reason why I'm doing it this way, and that is because they cost so much money. I can't afford them. So what we've got here is my old £13 it was when I bought it on eBay, which has now gone up to £14 as I've bought another one. So £28 sat there. There isn't much more to add to that. You will need the use of a Dremel for this. I can't imagine you doing it any other way. Tinman snips possibly very hard, but yeah, I would recommend a Dremel. If you do this right, you're going to save enough money to buy a Dremel anyway, because these things cost, I think the cheapest is probably 200, not 100% sure, but yeah, for that's the sort of size I'm talking, which is going to end up 30 centimeters by 6 inches. I know that's different conversion rates, but it's 14 centimeters by 30 when it's complete, which is about the average size for these stoves. And the reason being is I cannot afford to buy them. So as I've explained, £28 if you bought two new ones. Say 72 for a Dremel, no idea, I bought mine 5 years ago now. Then you're still only talking £100. And these stoves, like I say, are way expensive, way more than 100, 150, 200, 250, 300, 350. It probably just goes up and up and up. So £28 and a bit of time. So I shall go through this quite quickly and sort of do it like step by step. Right, so step one, we've got them opened up. This is my old one, this is obviously the new one. I took the door off the new one, which was very easy to do, it's only riveted in, and also shaved these little knuckles off, apart from I left the back one on, as you can see, with the handle in. The front side of my new one, which is going to be the back, I've just shaved those off so that it fits nice and flush against this, because it's going to sit like that. So the next step was to remove this back panel, which was a bit of a job, but the Dremel more than handles it. You need to leave those two hinge bits so that you can still pack it away, because the packing away of it, that tray needs to fold up obviously, and then it collapses. So yeah, pop the tray back down, and it's still got its solid form. It hasn't lost any strength by taking that back plate out. And with the door off the front one, I have actually got a tiny little hook here, which hooks onto this one at the back. It's not needed, but it's just easy to work from there now. It's a bit more stable. So at first I thought I'd do something like this, but then I wasn't sure about the heat that this could take, because there's going to be a lot of heat. And this is tin, which is good. I've tested tin and it's held out well, but it's definitely going to warp in the least. So I thought, well, I've still got loads of spare bits here to play with. For one, I've got the door that I took off, as you can see, and that conveniently sits, if you get it right, across the middle there, enough for you to actually lift it up with gently. So that is a very tight fit of joining those together, just that alone. But before we do that, we are going to put a couple of bolts through here and here, just to join these two, and also one at the bottom in the middle, a bolt going through there. So they will be firmly clamped together with bolts. The bolts I'm using are pretty standard bolts. I've trimmed them off so I don't have to work with the thread too much. I don't like working with long threads on things if you don't need them. So I've trimmed them to size that I thought was suitable. So we'll go to step 2. The other thing I done was just made myself a little bracket out of a piece of the old tin that was part of the waste product. Just a simple bracket. And also I made a little washer. Well, that's out of just a piece of aluminium tin, because it's only needed for a small job, but essential all the same. The washer that I made was for this hole here. It was just a little bit bigger than I actually wanted. I could use a bigger bolt, but I mean, that's adding a lot of weight. So I thought a little washer there, and then I have got one other washer that I can put this side. So that was why I needed that. You, however, might be a lot neater, and with the foresight be okay with that, but yeah, it was something that could have been avoided. So that's the first connection done. The bottom, a little bolt with a butterfly nut on it, and across the middle a bolt there and a bolt there going through. There is no way this is separating from this now. Sorry about the noise. So that is solid. Haven't got to worry about this end anymore. That's that step. On to the next step. The next step involves using a drill. I used just a basic battery drill with a metal drill piece. Started off with a small drill piece, and then went to a larger, and then went to a much larger, and so on. But that's the best way to get through these things, I think. And yeah, popped a hole through there, and on the same on the opposite side, to make sure that they line up with this plate. So you'd put this on here, which kind of clips on. You get it to where you want it, which I wanted it there. So we've got the front plate nice and shiny, the hole that's been put in the centre, which matches up with the hole that is there. So these two can be bolted together. So long as this is bolted to this frame securely, then I can bolt things to this. So using the materials that were provided. It's very shiny. Anyway, put the bolts in there, side to side, and that then creates a bit of a door, which will, with a bit of effort, close and be quite stable. The next thing, as I explained before, is to attach a plate on the front like that, and that's going to be my cooking surface, so it's nice and shiny and new. So there you can see I've just put the bolt in there. The next job is to make this back end section, and this is going to get a little bit tricky, but yeah, what I had to do what I've decided on doing is making this rather nasty looking thing, because this is all stainless steel. It's not aluminium or anything, so that's rather nasty, that thing. Make sure you don't leave it laying around if you're making this. And that then just sits on the back. There's a hole in there that will go into this hole which was already there. That was the old handle for the door. So, you know, you don't need to drill that hole. And there's a hole here. You just need to make sure that obviously there's some sort of washer or something underneath, because that is quite a large hole. And then bolt those together, and also at the back end I've put a tiny little hole there, and also that lines up with a tiny little hole there. I'll explain that shortly. So we've just put a bolt in there, so now that and this are both attached to this middle plate, which is attached solidly to this, so it's all connected now. There's just a couple of finer details. This back end, I just thought it'd be nice to nip it down, because there is a bit of play there. I don't want smoke, so the simple solution was just to make a little bracket. And there you can see I've added the bracket with a couple of nails that have just been bent over. I've done it like that because I want it nice and tight sitting on this. And yeah, that is now. At this back end, also at the front end, not much gaps. It's just how I want it. There is other possibilities, I guess. I've left the handles on the back and the front so that I can still use them, as you can see there. But that is basically it. Then you've just got to make your baked bean chimney, which I could have this way around. More of a snug fit. And there you can see, got a nice shiny cooking area at the front. These are all plates that came out of the bottom of this system. They would normally sit under here just to collect ash, and I found them very annoying because they collect ash and fill up very quickly, blocking off any airflow. So I solved a few problems in one by using them as the lid for this. All it takes is a few bolts, and this I know can withstand the temperatures. It'll warp slightly, but it will not melt or anything like that because it's proper steel. And this actually is the best bit of the steel out of the whole lot of it. This tray actually seems to be a touch thicker than everything else. So a good solid roof, a nice solid chimney. I was thinking that instead of using this now for the lid like I was going to, because I've got no collection trays at the bottom of it underneath, the ash is obviously just going to comes straight through those grills now that I've removed the collectors. So I was thinking it's made to measure, because I bought it knowing full well that it was 28.5 centimeters, because I measured it in the shop. So there's no forward or give on the forwards and backwards with it. A little bit on the sides, but not too bad. And then I'll be able to collect the ashes by removing it with the handles, and then use the ashes as like a hot water bottle kind of style, just ember, heat tray with a bit of foil on top to stop any problems of burning things. But that is about it, and that didn't take much effort. And I've replaced the old handles with the new ones. Also the new shiny door lock, I've obviously changed that so that we've now got the shiny bit on the front. There is also something else. Because this doesn't sit quite flush, it got a little bit warped in the last 6 months. I did actually put in screw holes on the sides, which can be attached like so. And then you can just close it up solidly if you need to. Obviously it's the doorway you will be putting the wood through, so you won't always want these in, but it's a very simple case. I don't even need to make them screws, I could just use a bit of metal for that really. But there you go, that is the finished project. £28 and a few bolts, quite a lot of time. And yeah, I actually used 4 or 5 of these discs getting through all this steel, so that's probably another £4. So 28, 32. The chimney is not going to cost anything because it's going to be bean tins, so £32. And this, unfortunately, I had to pay £16 for. I've already cut the hole out ready. I'm sure you can get this material without having to pay £16. I mean, imagine a tent made out of it, it would be phenomenal. And obviously you haven't got to worry about fire issues. So that would sit up there like that, if you can imagine the side of the tent doing like so. And that would then velcro on to the inside of the tent, and hopefully, because the size is doubled what it was, and there'll be a lot more heat on this end, because it won't, most of the heat, 99% of the heat I would say, goes out of my chimney, because these are large tins, and that is a large chimney. So I lose nearly all the heat out there, but obviously if you've got a longer depth, you can heat, this end will heat up a lot more, which is inside the tent, and this will actually be probably very hot, which is exactly what I want to cook on and for heating. And hopefully there'll be enough pull on the chimney. I might have an intake, which is simple because the tent has not got a ground sheet on it, so I can just put some tins semi underground, not like a Dakota pit, fire pit, but and just underneath the tent flaps. So I might actually take a chunk out of this tin, probably in the middle or something, for the tins that go under my tent flap to come in and feed air as an intake from the bottom, because the wood sits here above these air intakes. That's the actual wood level where it all sits. Anything below that will be ash. So hopefully that's detailed enough for you, and it's certainly an option. I'm very happy with it so far. Obviously it's yet to be tested, but it's very secure, it's very stable, it's not going to fall over, it's not going to fall to pieces. But there is obviously room for improvement, so penny for your thoughts on this, as always. I love your feedback, all you guys out there. And my thoughts are with you this Christmas. So yeah, stay tuned, because over the Christmas period I will be testing out this stuff and the new tent that I bought, which was £50. So a total of 32 was it, and 50, that's £82 I'm hoping for the basics of a hot tent. But I'm going to be making a bender tent out of the new tent, but yeah, there's a plan there. I will keep you posted. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care.